He succeeds me as Duke of Cornwall and takes on the responsibilities for the Duchy of Cornwall, which I have undertaken for more than 5 decades.
There are moments in royal history that arrive with fanfare, trumpets, and global headlines. And then there are moments that happen quietly, almost unnoticed at first, only for people to realize later that they have witnessed the beginning of something far bigger than they imagined. What Prince William has just done may be one of those moments, because this is not a story about another royal engagement, another ceremonial appearance, or another carefully choreographed palace event. It is not about family drama, tabloid speculation, or the endless headlines that seem to follow the House of Windsor wherever it goes. Instead, this is about power. It is about what happens when the future king of the United Kingdom decides that one of the oldest institutions in British history should no longer operate in the same way it has for centuries. And perhaps most importantly, it is about a decision that could reveal exactly what kind of monarch Prince William intends to become when the crown eventually passes to him. For generations, the British monarchy has faced the same criticism. Too much privilege, too much wealth, too much distance from the everyday struggles facing ordinary people. Yet what has just emerged from Prince William's stewardship of the Duchy of Cornwall suggests that a very different vision may already be taking shape behind palace walls. A vision that could redefine not only the future of the duchy itself, but the future role of the monarchy in modern Britain. And once you understand the scale of what is being proposed, why it matters, and what it could mean for millions of people, you may never look at Prince William or the institution he is preparing to inherit in quite the same way again. Because this story begins with a piece of royal history that most people have heard of, but very few truly understand. The Duchy of Cornwall. At first glance, the name sounds almost harmless. It sounds like a historic estate tucked away somewhere in the English countryside. A collection of farms, perhaps, some old buildings, maybe a few thousand acres of land passed from one royal generation to the next. The reality is dramatically different. The Duchy of Cornwall is not merely an estate. It is a financial powerhouse. It is one of the most influential private landholdings in the United Kingdom. And for nearly 7 centuries, it has served as one of the principal sources of wealth and influence for the heir to the British throne. Its origins stretch back to the year 1337 when King Edward III established it to provide income for his eldest son. Think about that for a moment. This institution was created before the Renaissance transformed Europe, before the discovery of the Americas, before the invention of the printing press changed the world forever. Empires have risen and fallen since then. Entire nations have been born. Political systems have come and gone. Yet the Duchy of Cornwall remained. Today, it encompasses approximately 128,000 acres spread across England. Not just Cornwall itself, but significant holdings in Devon, Dartmoor, the Isles of Scilly, Bath, and even parts of South London. Its influence reaches from remote rural landscapes to densely populated urban communities. And with that land comes extraordinary financial power. Every year, the duchy generates millions of pounds in revenue for the Prince of Wales. For decades, that beneficiary was King Charles III. Then, following the death of Queen Elizabeth II and Charles's accession to the throne, everything changed. Almost overnight, Prince William inherited responsibility for one of the most valuable and historically significant estates in Britain. Many expected continuity. After all, royal institutions are famous for moving slowly. Tradition is their foundation. Stability is their greatest strength. Change, when it happens, is usually measured in decades rather than years. But from the very beginning, there were signs that William saw things differently. Quiet signs at first. Small indications that the future king was not interested in simply preserving what had been handed to him. Observers began noticing a pattern. Whether discussing homelessness, environmental protection, sustainable communities, or the future responsibilities of public institutions, William repeatedly returned to the same theme. Purpose, not preservation for the sake of preservation, not wealth for the sake of wealth. Purpose, and that distinction matters more than many people realize. Because throughout history, institutions survive only when they can justify their existence to the people they serve. The British monarchy understands this perhaps better than any institution on earth. Public trust is not inherited automatically. It must be earned generation after generation. William appears to know that, which is why what happened next has attracted such enormous attention from royal watchers, historians, community leaders, and political observers alike. Behind the scenes, plans were being developed that would challenge centuries of assumptions about what the Duchy of Cornwall actually exists to do. Plans involving land, plans involving money, plans involving communities, and plans that could ultimately reshape how one of Britain's oldest royal institutions interacts with the modern world. But before those plans became public, there was a deeper question William needed to answer. Could an institution built in the medieval era genuinely serve the needs of 21st century Britain? Or would the weight of history prove too powerful to overcome? The answer would arrive in the form of an announcement that stunned royal observers and immediately sparked debate across the country. And when the details emerged, many realized they were witnessing something far bigger than a routine royal initiative. They were witnessing the opening chapter of Prince William's vision for the future. And what that vision revealed was something few people expected. For months, there had been quiet speculation about what Prince William intended to do with the Duchy of Cornwall. Some believed he would simply continue the approach established by previous generations. Others expected modest reforms designed to modernize the estate's image without fundamentally changing how it operated. Almost nobody expected what came next, because when details of William's new vision finally emerged, even experienced royal observers were forced to take a second look. The future king was not proposing a symbolic gesture. He was proposing a transformation. At the center of that transformation sits one extraordinary decision. Prince William intends to oversee the sale of approximately 20% of the Duchy of Cornwall's property holdings over the coming decade. Just pause and consider the significance of that. This is not an ordinary real estate portfolio. This is one of the oldest royal estates in British history. An institution that has survived wars, political upheaval, constitutional crises, and centuries of social change. For generations, the traditional expectation would have been simple: preserve the estate, protect its assets, and pass it on to the next heir largely unchanged. Instead, William appears prepared to do something very different. He wants to unlock a substantial portion of the duchy's value and redirect that wealth toward projects designed to improve the lives of people living within the communities connected to those lands. And suddenly, what seemed like a story about property became a story about priorities, because the obvious question immediately emerged. Why? Why would the future king of the United Kingdom willingly reduce part of the asset base connected to one of the monarchy's most valuable institutions? The answer may reveal more about William's future reign than any speech he has ever delivered. For decades, critics of the monarchy have argued that vast inherited wealth should do more to address modern social challenges: housing shortages, economic inequality, environmental degradation, community decline. Now, whether intentionally or not, William appears to be responding to exactly those concerns. Reports surrounding the plan suggest that the strategy could generate hundreds of millions of pounds over time, creating resources that can be reinvested directly into projects designed to deliver measurable public benefit. And this is where the story becomes even more interesting. Because William is not presenting this as charity. He is presenting it as responsibility. That distinction matters enormously. Charity implies generosity. Responsibility implies obligation. One is optional. The other is a duty. And throughout his public life, William has increasingly framed leadership through the lens of responsibility rather than privilege. The message appears clear. If institutions possess significant resources, those resources should create tangible value for the communities around them. Not someday, not eventually, now. The implications of that philosophy stretch far beyond the boundaries of the Duchy of Cornwall. Because if the future monarch believes ancient institutions must actively justify their existence through public service, then that principle could influence the wider monarchy for decades to come. That is why many royal commentators are paying such close attention. This is not merely a property strategy. It is a statement of intent, a glimpse into how William thinks, a glimpse into what he values, and perhaps a glimpse into what Britain might expect from him one day as king. Yet the announcement becomes even more remarkable when you look at where the money is expected to go. Because William's vision does not focus on grand royal projects. It does not center on palaces. It does not revolve around ceremonies. Instead, it focuses on ordinary people facing extraordinary challenges. families struggling to find affordable housing, young adults unable to buy their first home, communities watching local opportunities disappear, rural areas battling economic decline, regions confronting the growing realities of environmental change. These are not abstract policy discussions. These are daily realities for millions of people. And according to the emerging strategy, these are precisely the issues William wants the Duchy to help address. That is why some observers have described this moment as a turning point. Not because every problem will suddenly disappear. Not because one initiative can solve challenges that governments have wrestled with for decades. But because the philosophy appears fundamentally different. Instead of asking how communities can serve the institution, William appears to be asking how the institution can serve the communities. For an organization whose origins stretch back nearly 700 years, that represents a profound shift in thinking. Yet perhaps the most revealing aspect of all came from William's own words. He made it clear that he does not want the Duchy to function as a traditional landowner. Think about that statement carefully. A future king discussing one of Britain's oldest landed estates and openly suggesting that traditional approaches are no longer enough. That is not the language of preservation. That is the language of reform. And while supporters have praised the ambition behind the vision, others remain cautious. Because announcements are one thing, execution is another. Selling assets, creating housing, revitalizing communities, supporting environmental projects, and balancing financial sustainability at the same time is a challenge of enormous complexity. The real test begins now. The real test begins when promises become projects, when plans become construction sites, when headlines become results. And as details continued to emerge, it became clear that William's proposal was even more ambitious than most people initially realized. Because the scale of the housing plans alone had the potential to reshape entire communities across the Duchy's most important regions. And that is where this story takes an even more dramatic turn. The moment Prince William's broader plans became clear, one issue immediately moved to the center of the conversation. Housing. Not royal housing. Not palace renovations. Not luxury developments. Housing for ordinary people. And in modern Britain, few issues carry more political, economic, and emotional weight than that one. Across the country, millions of people are facing a reality that would have seemed almost unimaginable to previous generations. Young professionals with stable jobs are struggling to purchase their first homes. Families are dedicating huge portions of their income to rent. Key workers who keep communities functioning often find themselves priced out of the very places they serve. In many regions, home ownership has shifted from being an expectation to feeling like a distant dream. Prince William understands this. It is one of the reasons the housing component of his Duchy strategy has attracted such enormous attention. Because this is not a minor adjustment to existing plans. It is a commitment on a scale rarely associated with royal initiatives. The vision centers around the creation of thousands of additional homes over the coming years, including a substantial proportion designated as affordable housing. That last phrase is critical. Affordable housing is often discussed in political speeches and policy documents, but for many communities it remains frustratingly scarce. Developments are announced. Promises are made. Yet local residents frequently watch as properties become increasingly unaffordable. William appears determined to avoid that criticism. The emphasis is not simply on building more homes. The emphasis is on building homes that people can realistically live in. And that distinction may ultimately determine whether the project succeeds or fails. Because for all the excitement surrounding the announcement, expectations are already rising. Communities want results. Families want opportunities. Young people want reasons to believe they can build their futures in the places they grew up. The pressure is real. But what makes this strategy particularly interesting is that housing is only one part of a much larger vision. William appears to recognize something that policymakers often learn the hard way. Building homes alone does not create thriving communities. People also need jobs. They need economic opportunity. They need reasons to stay. Without those elements, even the most ambitious housing projects can struggle to achieve their intended impact. That is why another major pillar of the strategy focuses on local economies. For decades, many rural communities have faced a quiet but persistent challenge. Young residents leave in search of opportunity. Businesses struggle to recruit staff. Local services become harder to maintain. Population growth slows. Economic momentum weakens. Gradually, communities begin to lose the very characteristics that once made them vibrant. Parts of Cornwall have experienced these pressures. Parts of Devon have experienced them. Many rural areas across Britain understand exactly what that feels like. William's response appears to be based on a simple idea. If communities are to thrive, people must be able to build successful lives where they live. That means creating workplaces, supporting enterprise, encouraging long-term investment, and strengthening local economies rather than simply managing decline. The significance of this approach should not be underestimated. For centuries, large landowners were primarily judged by the value they extracted from their estates. Today, William seems determined to be judged by the value those estates create for others. That represents a remarkable shift in philosophy. Yet there was another aspect of the plan that generated equally intense discussion: the environment. Few public figures have spoken more consistently about environmental challenges than Prince William. Over the years, he has used his platform to highlight conservation, sustainability, and climate innovation. Through initiatives such as the Earthshot Prize, he has positioned himself as one of the most prominent advocates for practical environmental solutions on the global stage. Now those priorities are becoming increasingly visible within the duchy itself. Plans involving renewable energy expansion, environmental restoration, biodiversity protection, and sustainable land management suggest that William sees the estate not merely as a source of income, but as a tool for long-term environmental stewardship. And that is where the story begins to reveal its deeper significance. Because if you step back and look at the entire strategy, a pattern emerges. Housing, jobs, communities, environment, future generations. None of these priorities exist in isolation. They are interconnected. William appears to be trying to create a model in which economic growth, environmental responsibility, and community well-being reinforce one another rather than compete against one another. Whether that model ultimately succeeds remains to be seen. But the ambition itself is difficult to ignore, especially when viewed through the lens of royal history. Remember, the Duchy of Cornwall was not originally created to solve social challenges. It was created to generate wealth for the heir to the throne. That was its purpose for centuries. Now, under Prince William's leadership, the conversation has changed dramatically. Increasingly, the focus is shifting from what the duchy can provide to the Prince of Wales toward what the duchy can provide to the people connected to it. And that shift may prove to be one of the most important developments of all. Because as royal experts began examining the details, many reached the same conclusion. This announcement was about much more than land. It was about identity. It was about redefining the role of power in the modern age. And perhaps most importantly, it was about revealing what kind of leader Prince William hopes to become. But to truly understand why so many observers believe this moment could reshape perceptions of the monarchy itself, we need to go back nearly 700 years. Because the history of the Duchy of Cornwall makes William's actions far more revolutionary than they first appear. To understand why Prince William's announcement has generated such intense discussion, you have to do something that modern news coverage rarely does. You have to go back nearly 7 centuries, back to a completely different Britain. A Britain of kings and castles. A Britain where political power was concentrated in the hands of a tiny elite. A Britain where land was everything. In 1337, King Edward III created the Duchy of Cornwall for his eldest son, Edward of Woodstock, better known to history as the Black Prince. The purpose was straightforward. The heir to the throne needed an independent source of income. The duchy would provide it. From that moment forward, generation after generation of royal heirs inherited not only wealth, but also control over vast areas of land and the people who lived upon them. For centuries, the formula remained remarkably consistent. Land generated income. Income supported the heir. The institution endured. What changed around it was the world itself. The Industrial Revolution transformed Britain. The British Empire rose and fell. 2 world wars reshaped Europe. Governments came and went. Prime ministers rose and disappeared into history. Yet the duchy remained largely intact. That continuity became one of its defining characteristics. The institution survived precisely because it was designed to preserve wealth across generations. And that is why William's actions have attracted so much attention. Because what he appears to be doing is challenging assumptions that have existed since the very foundation of the duchy itself. Historically, success was measured by preservation. Protect the assets, maintain the estate, pass it on to the next generation. The mission was largely inward-facing. Today, William seems to be redefining success in entirely different terms. His focus is increasingly outward-facing. Community impact, environmental stewardship, affordable housing, economic opportunity. The difference may sound subtle. In reality, it is enormous. One philosophy asks how an institution can preserve itself. The other asks how an institution can justify itself. That distinction could have profound implications for the future of the monarchy. Because in many ways, the British royal family faces a challenge unlike any previous generation. The monarchy no longer exists in a world where respect is automatically granted because of title or tradition. Modern audiences expect accountability. They expect relevance. They expect institutions to demonstrate value. And nowhere is that pressure greater than among younger generations. For years, surveys and commentators had debated what the monarchy must do to remain meaningful in a rapidly changing society. Some argue that the institution should become smaller. Others believe it should become more transparent. Many believe it must demonstrate a stronger connection to the everyday concerns of ordinary citizens. Whether intentionally or not, William's duchy strategy appears to speak directly to those concerns. Rather than defending inherited privilege, he appears to be emphasizing public benefit. Rather than focusing solely on preservation, he appears to be emphasizing contribution. That is a significant difference. And it may explain why some royal observers view this moment as a preview of William's future reign. Because every future monarch leaves clues long before they wear the crown. Queen Elizabeth II revealed hers through duty and stability. King Charles III revealed his through decades of environmental advocacy and social engagement. Now many are asking whether William is revealing his through something else entirely. Practical impact, not grand speeches, not symbolic gestures. Results, real-world outcomes that people can see and experience in their daily lives. If that interpretation is correct, then this announcement becomes far more than a discussion about property sales. It becomes a statement about leadership, a statement about how power should be used, and perhaps most importantly, a statement about how the monarchy intends to evolve. Yet there is another reason this story has captured so much attention. Because while supporters have praised the vision, critics have raised important questions. Can a centuries-old institution truly transform itself? Will these ambitious promises translate into measurable outcomes? Can housing targets be achieved? Can environmental goals be delivered? Can communities genuinely feel the benefits? These are legitimate questions. History is filled with ambitious plans that looked impressive on paper but struggled in reality. William's reputation is now tied directly to the answers. That may be one of the most fascinating aspects of the entire story. For the first time since inheriting the duchy, the Prince of Wales has attached his personal vision to a project of extraordinary scale. If it succeeds, it could become one of the defining achievements of his public life. If it falls short, critics will not hesitate to point that out. The stakes are substantial, and William appears fully aware of that fact. Because throughout his public appearances, one theme continues to emerge again and again. Long-term thinking, not headlines for today, results for tomorrow, not quick fixes, sustained change. That philosophy can also be seen in the environmental side of a strategy, where many of the benefits may not become fully visible for years or even decades. Which raises an even bigger question. What if this is not simply about transforming the Duchy of Cornwall? What if this is actually a blueprint for the kind of monarchy Prince William wants to build? Because once you start examining his broader record, from homelessness initiatives to environmental projects to community investment, a much larger picture begins to emerge. And that picture suggests that this announcement may be only one piece of a far more ambitious vision for Britain's future king. As the details of Prince William's vision continue to unfold, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. This story is not really about property. It is not even primarily about housing, renewable energy, or environmental restoration. At its core, this is a story about leadership. Specifically, what leadership should look like in the 21st century. Because for generations, the British monarchy has existed in a delicate balancing act between tradition and change. Too much change risks undermining the institution's identity. Too little change risks making it appear disconnected from the society it serves. Every monarch eventually faces that challenge. Every heir must decide how they will navigate it. And Prince William appears to have made his choice. Rather than positioning himself as the guardian of a system that simply preserves wealth and privilege, he is attempting to present himself as the steward of a system that creates measurable public benefit. Whether one supports the monarchy or opposes it entirely, that distinction is difficult to ignore. Because institutions survive not merely because they are old. They survive because people continue to see value in them. That may be the most important lesson hidden within this entire announcement. For years, debates surrounding the royal family have often focused on cost, privilege, relevance, and accountability. Those debates are unlikely to disappear anytime soon. In fact, they may become even louder as Britain continues to evolve socially, economically, and politically. But William's strategy appears designed to answer those questions in a very specific way. Not through speeches, not through public relations campaigns, but through action. The message seems straightforward. Judge us by what we contribute. Judge us by the impact we create. Judge us by whether communities are stronger, because we were there. That is an ambitious standard to set for any institution, especially one carrying nearly 700 years of history on its shoulders. And yet that appears to be exactly what William is doing. The more you examine the duchy strategy, the more it feels like a test case for something larger. Can inherited power be used differently? Can ancient institutions adapt to modern expectations? Can tradition and progress coexist without destroying one another? Those questions extend far beyond the boundaries of the Duchy of Cornwall. They touch the future of the monarchy itself, because sooner or later, Prince William will become king. When that moment arrives, people will not only remember the speeches he delivered or the ceremonies he attended. They will remember the choices he made. They will remember the priorities he established. And they will remember whether the promises attached to those priorities ultimately became reality. That is why this announcement matters. Not because it solves every challenge facing Britain. Not because it suddenly transforms the housing market. Not because it single-handedly addresses environmental concerns. But because it provides insight into the mindset of the man who will one day wear the crown. A man who appears increasingly determined to define success not by what is inherited, but by what is achieved. And perhaps that is the most remarkable part of all. For centuries, the Duchy of Cornwall existed primarily to support the heir to the throne. Now, under Prince William's vision, the conversation is shifting toward how the duchy can support the people connected to it. That is a profound change in emphasis. Whether history ultimately judges it as a successful transformation remains to be seen. The next decade will provide the answer. Communities will judge the results. Families will judge the results. Future generations will judge the results. And perhaps most importantly, history itself will judge the results. Because if Prince William succeeds, this may be remembered as the moment one of Britain's oldest institutions began writing a very different chapter in its long and remarkable story. If he fails, it will become another example of good intentions colliding with difficult realities. Either way, the stakes could hardly be higher. For the duchy, for the communities involved, for the monarchy, and for the future king, whose vision now stands at the center of it all. Only time will reveal whether this bold gamble delivers the transformation its supporters hope for. But one thing is certain, the conversation has already begun, and millions of people are watching closely to see what happens next. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to let us know your thoughts in the comments below, because this is one of those royal stories where every perspective matters. Do you believe Prince William is taking the monarchy in the right direction? Do you think the Duchy of Cornwall strategy will deliver real change for ordinary people? Or do you believe the challenges facing Britain are simply too large for even a project of this scale to overcome? We would genuinely love to hear your view. If you found this analysis valuable, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our future royal coverage. And if you know someone who follows Prince William, Catherine, King Charles III, or the future of the British monarchy, share this video with them, because the debate surrounding this announcement is only just beginning. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of the conversation. And until next time, take care. Because behind every royal headline lies a much bigger story. And those stories are shaping the future right before our eyes.